You are now watching Zach Lesage PTCG. Let's get it! Yo, what's poppin' YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering a deck that's seen a lot of success lately, and that is DeciGoons. Ever since the GG Tour Regionals with Chill TCG, DeciGoons kind of reached the top tables, coming top 4 and second with Aiden Kuss and Jake Santiago. Fast forward a couple days later at the Chill TCG Invitationals, we have two DeciGoons in the finals with K-Quim and Zach Cooper. What happened to this deck? Why is it popping up? So this video is kind of explain my take on the list with some of the new Shining Fates cards, my kind of gameplay, and kind of general strategies throughout. If you watch some of my videos, you know that I try to just kind of deep dive into each deck, deep dive into each play, and kind of explain what the best way to kind of go about any situation is. So hopefully you enjoy that. The list is in the description below if you just want to copy and paste it. If you are going to copy and paste it, try to leave the video on the background. Even if it's muted or something, that's cool too. Take every single view we can get there. If you're looking for any of the cards for this deck, go to PTCGO plug in code ZLesage5 to save 5% on your order. And you can always subscribe right there to support the channel. All right, let's look into this deck list. So starting off with DeciGoons, it's not really a deck that I've covered on this channel too many times before, if not before. So I kind of want to go over the deck, go a little bit more deeper into what the deck profile offers. So Decidueye has its Deep Forest Camo ability, which prevents all of the attacks, all damage from attacks done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon V, which is V Max, and then Pokemon GX. So, this deck is kind of walling against a lot of things. A lot of popular decks feature V Max, GX Pokemon. And reasonably, that's going to be fine. You can set up a little bit slowly. Use Splitting Arrow to do 90, 20, 20. And then you have Obstagoon. Obstagoon allows you to hit numbers with both Headbutt Tantrum and with Untamed Shouts. But Obstruct stops all things from basic Pokemon. So in order to fully get past this deck, your opponent has to have a way to kind of get around these Pokemon with one of their Pokemon that can hit through Deep Forest Camo, something that can hit through Obstruct, normally get by Obstruct, or normally get by Deep Forest Camo. So it's one of those things, as long as you can isolate their attackers that can actually get through this kind of two-step combination on whatever works best, you're probably fine to just be able to win the game. So, for example, let's use Pikachu and Zekrom GX, one of the best decks, if not the best deck in formats. It's able to beat most other decks. The only Pokemon that it currently has to attack against this deck is a single Tapu Koko Prism Star. After that, as long as you don't overbench and give your opponent opportunities with Tag Bolt GX, Bosss Orders, you can quickly just wall with Deep Forest Camo and knock out their Pokemon. They won't be able to do anything else. Same thing, if your opponent doesn't play Evolution Pokemon and they just play a bunch of basic Pokemon as their techs, Galarian Obstagoon is certainly a way to get around things with Obstruct. Now, Obstruct's not as strong as Deep Forest Camo, and that's only because you have to actually attack with it. They can get around this with Bosss Orders, things like that. So what's really played in this deck? This deck plays a single copy of Snorlax. The reason why it plays Snorlax is because there's Scoop Up Net in the deck, so you can lift up anything you want. There's no copies of Switch, just Scoop Up Net. You can use Gourmandize to try to get set up while you have these Pokemon in the background. Zigzagoon and Obstagoon play the role of adding damage modifiers with Scoop Up Nets, but you do have Obstruct, which can get around some things. So, for example, if you're playing against a Baby Lucephalon deck, the only Pokemon that they have that can get around this would be Reshiram and Charizard GX using Double Blaze for 6 energies. Once they use that on your first Galarian Obstagoon, you're able to get around that with Obstruct for the rest of the game, as long as you have a Mew on your bench. So, should be fine there, especially if you play your Ordinary Rods correctly. So there's some decks that Obstagoon allows you to win that you otherwise would lose against. Next up, we play this copy of Rowlet. It's because if you use Bird Keeper, you could use Wind Shard to snipe things off your opponent's bench. This further allows you with Obstagoon and with Zigzagoon to snipe around and isolate some of your opponent's threats that can get through both Decidueye and or Obstagoon. So this is very strong, offering you a free attack while you set up a Decidueye in the background as well. Bird Keeper being very versatile, especially adding the switch element into this deck. This Dartrix just seems to be the most appropriate Dartrix to play in the deck, and I mean, of course, it's the shiny version, so it's kind of hot. Got Decidueye. Again, you want to wall your opponent's VV, Max, and GX Pokemon. Splitting Arrow, being able to do 90-20-20, you could set damage up with both Mew's Psi Power, Galarian Obstagoon's Untamed Shouts, among other things. So I mean, you can. There's a lot of spread potential with this deck. Jirachi is great because there is Scoop Up Net. So like most other decks that play Scoop Up Net, it will play Jirachi because it does get a round seller, which is a effect. This is really just to help you grab rare candies, roses, things to make your deck a little bit more consistent. Mew's really there to block Pokemon on your opponent's bench from just sniping, things like Cramorant VMAX, things like Taggable GX that can get around things like Obstruct and get around like random things, knock out a Rowlet on the bench. It depends what your opponent's playing, but it can be very helpful in particular matchups. Mewtwo here is absolutely great because you can put supporter cards back on top of your deck and then Scoop Up Net it to use it over and over again. This is why the deck can get by with one copy of Bosss Orders, one copy of Marnie, other things like that. And Phione, it helps you kind of put your opponent in an awkward position with snipe damage. The snipe damage from Splitting Arrow, that is. It also allows you to avoid decking out when you're playing against things like Lucario, Melmetal, things like that can be very helpful there. Ordinary Rod, getting back some of these resources. Shuffle up the 2 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck and shuffle up 2 basic energies. When one of these Pokemon goes down, you want to basically be able to set it back up. Ordinary Rod's going to be extremely helpful there. Got 4 copies of Calm because you have a lot of evolution-based Pokemon that you want to be able to find out. Quick Ball searches through most Pokemon in the deck. Rare Candy, of course, you want to be able to bypass the Dartrix. In this case, there is no Galarian Lanoon in the deck, so Rare Candy is often vital to this deck's success. You got Scoop Up Net. Scoop Up Net is to lift all your Pokemon up. If you need to, it's kind of like switching this deck, but mainly try to use it for Pokemon such as Galarian Obstagoon, Zigzagoon, and Jirachi, and Mewtwo, because you can abuse their abilities to work with Scoop Up Net very well. Bird Keeper, switching your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon is very hot. Just being able to switch, and then of course it works really well with Sky Circus. 1 copy of Bosss Orders, just to bring up whatever you want. A lot of the times you just want to bring up a Pokemon that's a threat to a Decidueye or an Obstagoon and then take care of it. Marnie's to help avoid deckouts. Professors Research, sometimes you just got to pitch and draw. Rosa, this is a lot of the single prize card decks use Rosa, which makes Rosa quite expensive on PTCGO trades. When one of your Pokemon's knocked out during your opponent's last turn, grabbing a Pokemon Trainer and Energy card, it really sets up the whole like Rare Candy, Energy, and Pokemon kind of line, which works incredibly well with Pokemon like Decidueye. Aromatic Grass Energy, just being able to stop special conditions from going through. We have the Crobat VMAX, we have I don't even know what else could do special conditions. Raichu, Alolan Raichu's Paralysis. There's a lot of things that Aromatic Grass just kind of stops. So it's worthwhile. Capture Energy, being able to search out Pokemon. A lot of these attacks just cost Grass Colorless, Dark Colorless. That's certainly going to help you get through that. And then there's just 2 Darks and 3 Grass. Again, you can get those back with Ordinary Rod to make this deck kind of more well-rounded. So overall, you're just going to try to wall VMAX, GX Pokemon, and your opponent's basic Pokemon. If necessary, you do lose to some decks automatically. That's fine. Some decks are a little bit closer than you think, but DeciGoons is in a strong position right now, especially during the early Shining Fates metagame. So this is my updated list. No Shining Fates card, but it does seem like it will be successful in this early metagame. Let's jump into some games and see exactly how this deck performs. So going through here, I feel like if I'm playing DeciGoons, it's very possible that my opponent concedes. It's very possible I hit some poor matchups. I've already had a few concessions on my behalf where my opponent just doesn't have the correct thing, or I actually even ran into a Dragapult deck that I was getting very lucky on crushing hammers. And I'm not talking about Dragapult VMAX, I'm talking about Dragapult Stage 2, which is not particularly a strong matchup for this deck. So overall here, I'm trying to figure out exactly how do I want to deal with this. I think I go Quick Ball away. I think almost Ordinary Rod doesn't matter in this matchup in particular. So I'm going to go ahead, search through, see what's good. I'm going to grab a Rowlet. Go ahead and capture energy to grab myself another one. Alright, I mean, I guess at this point I could just go capture energy into a Jirachi. I don't think they're necessarily going to attack me. It seems completely fair. Bird Keeper going into the Jirachi because the damage doesn't really matter too much. And let's see what Stellar Wish brings. So Stellar Wish is going to bring a Pokemon Communication. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Pokemon Communication. I feel like it's a pretty good call for me here. And then I could go ahead and pass my turn. I'm really just hoping that my opponent does not have Aegislash or another tech in their deck. So we'll have to see exactly how that goes. And there's the Marnie. Maybe they're just trying to kind of throw my hand back into the blender. But it's really one of those things, especially in a closed list format, it's very difficult to know what your opponent's outs are. I am going to have access to the Decidueye by using Scoop Up Net on whatever Pokemon I want, and then being Pokemon Communication. So I just need to find a Grass Energy. Mawwile's one of their other outs that they could do. They could lay down lots of other Pokemon on my bench. Fortunately for me, they didn't hit any, but we also have Scoop Up Net if that were to be the case either. So let's see what they're doing here. They're probably, I don't know what they're really searching for. If they're searching for an Aegislash to build up energies on, that'd be quite unfortunate. Altered Creation GX, maybe they think that I might just misplay or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see what Jirachi brings here with Stellar Wish. I'm actually just going to go ahead with the research, because now I could go Pokemon Communication, put this back up. My opponent's likely not going to be able to attack. And there's really not too many valuable cards in my hand after I go Rare Candy. So you can see I can go Rare Candy. All I do is bank a Bosss Orders in my discard pile, and that's great for Mewtwo. So there's the Professors Research. No energies at all. Am I okay with this? It's more or less one of those things where I'm not sure. If my opponent plays Aegislash, I lose the game anyways. So I'm just going to go ahead. Yeah, they just don't have an out, so they're going to concede. That's going to happen a bunch in this video. So with their last opponent conceding the game, hopefully I could bring this and kind of showcase what the deck can actually do. But a lot of the times, the deck just wants to kind of vibe out. Really, games like that are what the deck's searching for, just your opponent having no outs. And our opponent scooping the game could have been very correct at doing so. I'm starting to believe it might be better to go second with this deck. I'm still not entirely sure. Looks like our opponent is playing some kind of the Scorch Silvally deck, if I ever had a hunch. I'm gonna go ahead here and just try to get out this Zigzagoon for the Rowlets. And I'm going to try to just use Gourmandize to get set up here. There's not much I can do. Sometimes you're going to run into decks that play natural counters, such as Scorch. Sometimes you're going to run into decks that have no counters, like we did last game. And that's really just how this deck is going to work. It seems like there's really no in-between. So there's a Scorch. Maybe our opponent won't understand how to play this matchup, or the dynamic of this matchup. Maybe they don't play Volcanion anymore. There's a lot of things that just kind of gotta hope for. Okay, there's their Pokemon Communication. Let's see what's gonna be grabbed here. Scorch VMAX, interesting. Okay. So reasonably, I'm going to go Rare Candy here. I'm going to drop the Aromatic Energy just in case they have some kind of special condition. At this point, I very much would like to have access to my Ordinary Rod. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go Quick Ball away. I really don't want to discard a Bosss Orders, but I think I have to. Just to get another Rowlet set up. I need to kind of have an army of Rowlets. And I'm going to go ahead here and just go for Gormandize. So just getting a little bit built up. If they go for a knockout, I could do some stuff with my turn. I just really need to isolate their Volcanions, and that's if they know to go for Volcanions. It's one of those things, if you don't know what you don't know, they might not have ever played against a DeciGoons deck. They might just see it as a grass type deck. Maybe they're just trying to bait me out for bringing out my Decidueye. I'm honestly not sure what's the correct call here. That being said, I think I'm just going to go for it. So I'm going to go Rosa for a Rare Candy Decidueye. Or actually, I'm going to go for a Dartrix here, actually. A Dartrix, a Rosa, and a Grass. Because it does give me some outs here. Because I can always go Pokemon Communication, something back out. Grass energy right there. And of course I'm just going to attack. That's all I see as being a viable option right now, is just attacking. Hopefully they don't get anything else going right now. I need to just hope that they don't have a Volcanion switch. I know if my opponent attacks me with G-Max and Inferno, they might not understand the dynamics of Decidueye. Decidueye can make the best player forget about things at times. So really just hoping they have their Volcanions. They might not have the energies for it though. So there's their Welder onto the Volcanion. And this is really where some of the matchups can be like shaky. Scorch being one of the most popular decks really scared Decidueye into being one of the worst decks in format for a while, where it just couldn't break that mold. Now the fact that they also play Heat Fire Energy makes this matchup a little bit scarier. If they don't find an out to switch, I feel like we might be okay, but there's switch taking away all that hard work. And reasonably, like, I can send up something like this. They can always just target down my Decidueye. The fact that this deck probably even plays like a third Volcanion can be very detrimental overall. So, I mean, they're always a Welder away. I'm gonna concede this one just so we can see a more variety of matchups. So here we are searching for another deck that does not have a counter. So you might be wondering, like, yeah, I won a game because my opponent didn't have a counter and they scooped. I lost a game because my opponent didn't have a counter. Where is DeciGoons an appropriate play? You need to like pinpoint the metagame completely, or have a really good guess. There's no other better way to be playing this deck. Because if you go into a blind meta, that's when DeciGoons can become very scary. And if you run into a bunch of counters that just have ways against your deck, then you're probably just going to lose. So let's see exactly how this goes, but I think you just got to have a really good ability to predict the metagame, following trends and stuff like that. So the opponent playing Zigzagoon, what are they playing Zigzagoon in? Is this Eternatus? This I can't even tell what this is. Is this Altaria Obstagoon? It could be. It very well could be. Just got to see exactly what they got going on. I mean, maybe it's Crobat. Crobat would be another like okay matchup. There's a Dark Energy. Okay, so that means I'm definitely going in with a Rowlet play here, if that's a possibility. I could actually get a knockout with the Rowlet. With going Wind Shard, which I think would be huge. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go with Stellar Wish first if I can find a Bird Keeper. So no Bird Keeper there. There's nothing that I necessarily want to grab from there. So a bit of a rough go. I might as well play down some of these other cards. Doing the 10 there. Scoop Up Nets. Actually, I thought I played the Snorlax down. I definitely would have liked to Scoop Up Net into the Snorlax. That being said, I'm just going to put the Zigzagoon down. And I'm going to hit 10 again there. So a bit of a mistake on my behalf, but just trying to save it instead of panicking. Let's go ahead here and drop another Rowlet. I think Rowlet's probably going to be good in this matchup. I mean, that is weak to grass. And there's a Snorlax there. So I'm going to go ahead here and pitch this hand away. Nothing crazy going on here by any means. Dark Energy onto the Rowlets. And I'm just going to pass. There's really nothing else that I could do. So the reason why Decidueye is good in this matchup is because Decidueye has weakness on what I assume is Obstagoon. Again, with the Altaria, it's really hard when you play against decks like this, and that's what makes DeciGoons difficult. It doesn't really adapt well to what's being played, unless, of course, they just have no counter. A lot of the strategies get really awkward. And additionally, I'm a stage 2 Pokemon. I can get through Obstagoon's Obstruct. My hand was a little bit awkward, so I'm okay with this, to be honest. Jirachi getting a supporter here would be amazing. If not, I could go Scoop Up Net into a Snorlax. I think that'd be really cool. So there's the big Parasol. I always double check what's going on with big Parasol here. Prevent all effects from your opponent's Pokemon to this Pokemon. So it's going to stop a lot of randomness. But not particularly in this matchup. So yeah, it seems like it's got to be some kind of Altaria Obstagoon deck if I had any kind of hunch. Like DeciGoons, but Altaria Goons. Energy there is a little bit rough, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go Stellar Wish. Bird Keeper to me seems like a pretty hot pick here. So I'm going to go ahead and go Bird Keeper into the Rowlet without the energy. And I just want to make sure that I'm able to isolate other things that they might be dealing with. So they can go as long as this is in the active spot. So nothing even matters because it's on the bench. I am going to go ahead here, though, and attach an energy. I'm so confused if I want to do that or not, because they could always just go like Rare Candy and knock that out. I'm going to go Pokemon Communication on the Obstagoon here. And I'm going to go for a Dartrix. In that case, I'm going to go for the Mew, and I'm going to go for a Dartrix. And Dartrix is not there. So again, one of those things where I should probably pay attention a little bit more to searching my prize cards. Dartrix would have been really nice there to prevent from the from Obstagoon putting 3 damage counters on, from just like another 10 Scoop Up Nets, things like that. That being said, I'm just going to go for another Rowlet here. Just got another Rowlet built up with another energy, if that's a possibility. Because I don't want them to go 30-10, knock out my active. So I'm going to go ahead and put a Grass Energy on this Pokemon. And I'm just going to go Windshard. Windshard and take away what I assume is going to be the more difficult Pokemon to knock out. That's going to be the Swablu. Because the other ones have weakness, I'd naturally rather have those in the active spot. So, the Pokemon Communication Scoop Up Net's definitely not the worst thing I've ever seen. Not particularly the greatest hand I have dealt, but we'll see exactly what our opponent does here. If they already have like a Scoop Up Net or a Rare Candy, this Rowlet's definitely getting pitched. This could be a very awkward situation. So I am right, it is some Obstagoon Altaria deck. So it's weird that I'm playing a bit of a mirror match. There's a 3 damage counters. Will they find a Scoop Up Net or a Zigzagoon? Very much looks like they're going Obstagoon based here. So that is going to take care of the Rowlet on the bench. Good thing I powered up this Rowlet instead of that Rowlet. You always got to plan your moves and make sure that you can properly figure out what your opponent's doing in their turn. So I can go ahead here with Rosa now. The Rosa part's going to be quite hot because I can grab out the Decidueye, I can grab out a Rare Candy, and I can also grab out an energy. I just don't think I want to at this moment. I'm going to go... Is there anything worthwhile to even Ordinary Rod back in? Oh, I got rid of the Dartrix, that's why. I think I can go Ordinary Rod, do both, just getting back some resources. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to start attacking, really. I don't see a reason why not to. They're not going to be able to one-shot me, and by the time that they get something else good, I'm just going to be set up. So let's go Splitting Arrow, and I don't need to worry about that. I don't think they're going to put a weakness guard onto it. If they do, I'll just take my L. Yeah, and they're just going to concede because we got it set up. Okay, we're going to call tails here. We won the flip. I think it's actually, like... I like going first more for a traditional route. It might be better. I'd really appreciate like someone if they're a little bit more comfortable with this deck. Let me know. I feel like there's a lot of energies that you just want to get built up and then start attacking. Not to say that I'm playing it wrong or anything. I just don't know if it's ultimately better to go first or second with it. This could be an awkward match for our opponents. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get set up here. I'm going to go Pokemon Communication. I think that Obstagoon is just strictly the correct card to go here. I know that my Dartrix is prized. Just because it forces them to attack with Poltegeist. Yeah, might as well place that. Might as well take an energy. And then, like, depending on what my opponent does, it's just so much... There's so many options that we have with Bird Keeper and stuff like that. Especially if they don't play down Mew or don't play Mew in their deck. I could also just go Obstagoon and knock out things like Sinistea. So if I'm able to get a good setup here, I'm in a very good spot. I might be able to shut them out of the game. Oh, they don't really have much at all. That's quite unfortunate for them. I'm going to attach that there. I'm going to go ahead, just go research, rip this hand to shreds. We go Scoop Up Net on the Phione. See what Jirachi brings. Maybe I get the Rare Candy. No. So there's that. I think Rowlet seems like a good card to put down. And I'm going to put the Phione back down too. I mean, again, I think I'm in a good position if my opponent does not really do too much next turn. Like, they just kind of generally pass, so I think I'm okay to generally pass here as well. So you're going to evolve into the Poltegeist. Maybe they'll be able to draw some cards. Attach the triple acceleration energy. Okay, it looks like they're all aboard with a Dedenne or a Crobat or something here. I really need to be able to knock out something like the Poltegeist here. There's a U-turn board. If I'm able to go knockout on Poltegeist, I feel pretty okay about that. I also don't want them to go Bosss Orders onto my Zigzagoon. So, this matchup can get a little bit weird. There's an Evolution Incense. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just grabbing a Pokemon to toss away with T-Break. I don't know if they have it or not. I don't think that they have the Bosss this turn. And we both play Phione. It's going to be one of those, like, a little bit more back and forth. Okay. Whirlpool Suction is definitely something I need to... How many do they have in there? They have 5. I almost want them to get the knockout here for sure, so I'm just going to send up the Rowlets. They probably will just go in for the attack here. If they go in for the attack, I feel very confident that I'm going to win this game. Although they do have Phione Bosss Orders, so that might be difficult to get past. Okay, so before I do anything, I'm just going to send up this because I will be able to grab a Rare Candy with Rosa. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play Rosa. I want to grab a Rowlet, a Rare Candy, and I'm just going to grab a Grass Energy. So I can start getting that Rowlet powered up. So let's go Rowlet, Grass Energy, Rare Candy, draw a prize card on the Bunnelby. Probably should have waited before I attached, but I don't see anything else that I'd ever attach to. Getting a Rare Candy on the prize cards is certainly huge. And I'm going to deal with Obstruct so that they need to get their Phione next turn in order to attack. So pretty huge overall here. It was a very good turn. Maybe they don't entirely know what Obstruct does. I just don't want them to go Phione knockouts on the Obstagoon with a Phione and a Bosss to shut off the Obstruct. That'd be the scariest thing. But I do have a bit of a prize card lead. So as long as I'm able to kind of keep this, I'm going to be able to win this game. The thing that my opponent can do, though, is just they can attach a single energy per turn. I attach, and then they can attack. I have to attach 2 energies before I'm able to attack in most cases. There's a Crobat. They're going through a lot of their resources there. Yeah, and they're just going to concede because they're not going to be able to get it. And there we have it, peeps. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I mean, I would have liked to play some more deep games when it comes to DeciGoons, but those are really going to only happen when your opponent's in a sink or swim situation. In this case, a lot of decks are just playing on ladder. They don't necessarily care what's going on. They're just going to be like, cool, I have no counter, I scoop. Or I don't want to play this matchup, I scoop. So when you're filming something like DeciGoons, a lot of players are going to scoop. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities where you just run into things that are random. Like I had a game where I was playing against a Dragapult deck, non-VMAX deck, that I just lost against within the first like couple turns that I wasn't going to feature in this video here because I don't think it provided any value to this kind of video. Then there's other games where I play against a Scentiscorch deck where they have Volcanion, where it's a little bit of a longer game where they're able to get Volcanion. So trying to play towards those win cons. But overall, if you know what you're doing with DeciGoons, it's a solid choice in this metagame. It really only depends if you're able to kind of accurately pinpoint where the meta is going or get pretty lucky in the process. So I think with the success that DeciGoons seen recently, this deck can only go down. That's my opinion though. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Until next time, I'm going to be creating some more content, doing a bunch of good stuff, so stay tuned on the channel. That being said, have yourself a great one, and peace out. So much for watching and supporting the channel. If you haven't already, it'd mean the world to me if you could subscribe to help support me as a content creator. Thanks again, and have yourself a great one.